Good afternoon, students. Myself, Dr. A.P. Joshi. Today in this video, I am going to discuss the synopsis of the chapter Moving Charges and Magnetism. Okay, so the chapter name is Moving Charges and Magnetism. You are all well versed with the theory part of this chapter. For any CET or NEET or JEE question discussions, theory is very important. Formulas, theory are very important. We already completed the theory. So, in short, I am going to discuss the synopsis. Okay. So, let us go for the first part. Now, okay, see here, first part, that is magnetic force. Magnetic force on a charged particle. You know that a charged particle, when placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force that is called magnetic force. Means it should move, not at rest. Okay, when a charged particle is moving in a magnetic field, it experiences a force that is called magnetic force, and you can see here the magnetic force experience is Fb equal to Q into bracket V cross B. V cross B means it is a vector product of velocity and magnetic field, and expansion of V cross B is Vb sin theta, force experienced by the moving charged particle. And theta is what? Theta is the angle between the velocity and the magnetic field. See here, this is V, this is B, and this is theta. Okay, this is the force experienced by the moving charged particle placed in magnetic field. The magnetic force on the charged particle is 0 if V and B are parallel. If the velocity is parallel to the magnetic field, if the charged particle moves along the magnetic field or opposite to the magnetic field, the force experience is 0. You can see theta is 0, theta is 180 degree. Theta 0 means along the magnetic field charge moves. Theta 180 degree means the charge moves opposite to the magnetic field. Next, we move to, if the charged particle is at rest, you can see here, if the charged particle is at rest, the magnetic field is again 0, because V is 0. V 0 means automatically magnetic force is also 0. And next, the magnetic force on the charged particle is maximum when V and B are perpendicular. So, I will draw the diagrams here. If V and B are perpendicular, then the magnetic force is maximum. The value of the magnetic force is, here you can see, F maximum equal to QVB. This is the maximum force experienced by the charged particle. Now, what is the tracing of the charged particle? The charged particle traces a circular path. If a charged particle moves perpendicular to the magnetic field, it experiences maximum force, and it traces what is circular path. And you can see here, if the angle is other than, if theta is not equal to 0 or not is 90, not 180 degree, means if angle is not above these all angles 0, 90 and 180, then theta is the angle between V and B here, then the path traced by the charged particle is helical. You can see helical path. So when a helical path is experienced by the charged particle, if the theta is other than 0, other than 90 and other than 180, then the charged particle experience a helical path. See, I am drawing the helical path here. This is the helical path experienced by the charged particle. So, circular path 90 degree, helical path other than 0, 90 and 180 degree, other than. Okay. Now, the next part is motion in a magnetic field. If a charged particle enters perpendicular to the magnetic field, you can see here, if a charged particle enters perpendicular to the magnetic field, as I told, it experiences the maximum force and it describes a circular path. Then the radius of the circular path experience formula is, see here, R equal to mv by qb. So what is this R? It is the radius of the circular path described by the charged particle. Now how we got this formula? By using the maximum force experienced and the centripetal force. You know that in first PUC, any particle or any body wants to move in a circular path, it requires the centripetal force. The formula for the centripetal force is mv square by r. That centripetal force is provided by the maximum magnetic force. The maximum magnetic force, about discussion, F maximum equal to QVB, and centripetal force mv square by r, means centripetal force provided by the maximum magnetic force. So R is mv by qb. What is R? Radius of the circular path. Then the period of the circular motion, time taken to complete one circle, it is called time period. So T equal to 2 pi r by v, where 2 pi r is the distance. 2 pi r is the distance traveled for one circle and v is velocity. So 2 pi into mv by qb. R is what? mv by qb. Substitution, it will become T equal to 2 pi m by qb. So what is this formula? Time period of rotation of the charged particle. And we next go for the frequency of the circular motion. Frequency of the circular motion is F is 1 by T. F is 1 by T. So F equal to 1 by time period. So for this you can see here F equal to 1 by T. It is reciprocal of T, means QB by 2 pi M. And omega is 2 pi F, angular frequency, it is QB by M. So if you remember any one of the above formula, automatically you can go for frequency and omega. If you remember T formula, then you can write F and omega. And next is magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. What is the meaning of this one? Magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. If you take a current carrying conductor and it is placed in a magnetic field. If the current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field making an angle theta, then the magnetic force experience is Fb equal to ILB sin theta, and it is also vectorially written as F vector equal to I into L cross B, where L is called, it is a vector form and B is also vector. So I is the current in the wire, L is the length of wire, theta is angle between the direction of current and B as I indicated in the diagram. So this is a formula for the magnetic force on a current carrying conductor placed in magnetic field. So I got magnetic force for moving charged particle and magnetic force for current carrying conductor. One is F equal to that is Q V B sin theta, and this one is BIL sin theta. Okay. So after this, let us move to next part, cyclotron. So what is cyclotron? Cyclotron means, see here, cyclotron is a machine used to accelerate charged particles or charged ions to high energies. It is like a gun. Remember, cyclotron is just like a gun. As if you put a bullet in a gun, gun will accelerate the bullet. So bullet comes out with high energy from the gun. In the same way, cyclotron is also a gun and the charged particle in that cyclotron is a bullet. If you see cyclotron as a gun and the charged particle as a bullet, from the cyclotron the the charged particle comes out with high energy. Who is giving this high energy to the charged particle? That is the systematic arrangement of cyclotron. You can see in the diagram where the charged particle moves inside the cyclotron, and in this period the charged particle experiences both electric and magnetic force. With the combined effect of electric and magnetic forces, the charged particle comes out from this windows here with a high energy. You can see, I will point out here, the charged particle comes out from this exit port with high energy. And here once again I repeat, in this entire arrangement the charged particle experiences both electric and magnetic field. Under the action of both an electric and magnetic field, the charged particle experiences maximum force, and in that it gets highest energy. Okay, with this cyclotron, and see, move to this next part, Biot-Savart's law. It is a very simple law which gives the information of the magnetic field produced at a point. The magnetic field produced at a point due to a current element. What is current element? It is a small portion of the, see here, you can see here, it is a small portion of the current carrying conductor. This small portion of the current carrying conductor is called current element. See here, if you take I is a small part of the body. In the same way, current element is a small part of the current carrying conductor. See here, the formula for the magnetic field at a point, see here, at this point the magnetic field at a point due to this current element is dB equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square. You know this all, just remember this formula, magnetic field at a point due to current element mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square. Why written is dB? dB means it is a current, it is a magnetic field due to small portion, not entire portion. It is not due to entire portion, it is only due to small portion. That's why it is written as dB. And you can see Biot-Savart's law in vector form, dB equal to mu naught I dl cross r divided by r cube, mu naught by 4 pi I dl cross r. If you expound dl cross r, the dl cross r is written as dl into r into sine theta. So dl r into sine theta, expansion of dl r cross r, dl cross r, dl r sine theta. If you substitute here, you will get the above relation. If you substitute here, you will get above the relation, where I is current in the current element, dl is length of the current element, r is the distance of point from the current element, and theta is, you can see, theta is the angle between current and the line joining the point and current element. See here, this line, angle between these two, this current line segment and this. Okay, with this Biot-Savart's law, let us move to using this Biot-Savart's law, we can get the expression for magnetic field due to a circular coil. And just I will say what is the, here in this synopsis, the derivation is given, entire derivation is given. The entire derivation is of not much importance, just I will show the magnetic field due to a current carrying circular coil. The magnetic field is, say I will write the magnetic field expression B equal to, see here, B equal to, it is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi n I r square divided by r square plus x square raised to 3 divided by 2. So here the magnetic field due to a circular coil, I will draw circular coil, and the center, this is a point P. At this point P, at a distance x from the center O, the radius is r and n. See here, what is the formula for the magnetic field at a point due to a circular coil? the formula is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi ni r square by r square plus x square whole raised to 3 by 2. You all know this formula, remember this one, which is very important, helpful for the solving problems, where n is number of turns in the circular coil, I is current in the circular coil, r is radius of the circular coil, and x is the distance of point P from center of the circular coil. And one more, I will write the formula. See here, magnetic field at the center of the circular coil is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi ni divided by r. This is the formula for magnetic field at the center. See here, I am pointing, magnetic field at the center is BC equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi ni by r, where n is number of turns, I is the current, and r is the radius. And x becomes 0 here in this case. Next, after this, we go for Ampere's circuit law. What is Ampere's circuit law? Statement is very simple. The line integral of the B dot dl, the line integral of the magnetic field around a closed loop of any shape. The magnetic field, the line integral of the magnetic field around a closed loop is equal to mu naught times the current enclosed by the loop. It is a Ampere's circuit law statement. Now I will go for one more formula, that is magnetic field due to a long straight wire. You take here, there is a long straight wire, and from this long straight wire the magnetic field is produced at this point. The magnetic field formula is B equal to mu naught by 2 pi I by r. Otherwise you can write the same formula as B equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I by r. Both are same. You can see both are same. These two both are same, just changed 4 pi. Why I will place 4 pi? Because you can say mu naught by 4 pi value is 10 raised to minus 7. If you write mu naught by 2 pi, you have to write again one more 2. That's why mu naught by 4 pi value is 10 raised to minus 7. And so after this, the application of solenoid and toroid. Solenoid is, you can see in the picture, solenoid is a hollow long cylinder where the wire is wound in helix form. So due to this helical wire, if you pass a current here in this helical wire, the magnetic field lines are produced here. You can see magnetic lines produced inside the solenoid are very close, means magnetic field is strong inside, but the outside the magnetic field lines are very weak. So that's why the magnetic field lines outside the solenoid are taken as negligible, but magnetic field lines inside the solenoid are taken as considerable. So that's why the magnetic field inside the solenoid is B equal to mu naught Ni. B equal to mu naught Ni, where N is number of turns per unit length, mu naught is permeability of free space. No need to tell once again. What is I? Current through the solenoid. And the toroid. So what is the difference between this solenoid and toroid? Both will produce magnetic fields, but the shape is different. So toroid is what? It is a closed ring, helical, hollow closed ring, in the shape of ring here. If you cut it, you make it straight, it will become solenoid. Or if the solenoid is bent in the form of circular ring, it will become a toroid. So formula for toroid is also same, mu naught Ni. Again here the magnetic field inside is considerable and the inside the toroid is considerable, and the magnetic field outside is negligible because the magnetic field lines will spread over. So formula is same. And after this solenoid and toroid, let us move to the force between two parallel current carrying conductors. See here, you can see the two parallel conductors, when they are carrying currents, what is the force experienced by the two conductors. Here and some derivations are there. Just go through direct formula here. See here, direct formula is this one I am pointing. FBA means force exerted on one conductor due to other. Force on B due to A. Force on B due to A means mu naught by 2 pi IA IB divided by D into L. What is IA? Current in A conductor. What is B? IB? Current in B conductor. What is L? Length of the conductor on which the force is acting. See here, length of the, see here, marked here, length of the B conductor on which force is acting. What is D? Distance between the two conductors. You can see distance between the two conductors. D is distance between two conductors. What is FBA? Force on B conductor due to A conductor. Similarly, what is the force on A conductor due to B conductor? It is also same. That is also formula same, mu naught by 2 pi IA IB into L divided by D. But the difference is that FAB and FBA are opposite. Both they are equal, but they are opposite. If you take two conductors, the force FAB and FBA both are same but opposite. What is FAB? Force on A conductor due to B conductor. What is FBA? Force on B conductor due to A conductor. See, you can see finally force per unit length formula. This is what? Force per unit length means FAB by L or FBA by L. Both are same. FAB by L or FBA by L. The formula L will get cancelled. So mu naught by 2 pi IA IB divided by D. So you can also write mu naught by 2, instead of 2 pi I will write 4 pi. Then I will write one more 2 here, IA IB divided by D. This is a formula, another formula for force per unit length, not force. On this, using this force per unit length, you can define ampere also. Now, parallel currents attract, anti-parallel currents repel. Means here I will draw a diagram. These parallel currents means if currents are in same direction, the forces are attractive. If the currents are anti-parallel means opposite, you can see direction of currents opposite, the forces are repulsive. These are the attractive force, current are parallel. This is repulsive force, currents are anti-parallel. So with this, next we go for conversion of galvanometer into, see, in this now I am going to discuss conversion of galvanometer into ammeter. First of all, ammeter is what? Galvanometer is what? Galvanometer is a sensitive device which shows the presence of current. Ammeter is what? It is a device which is completely used to measure current. Galvanometer will detect the presence of current, ammeter will record the current. Now I am going to convert galvanometer into ammeter. The ammeter concept is, ammeter is always used, ammeter is here, ammeter is an instrument used to measure current, and ammeter is always, it is connected in series with the components, and the resistance of ammeter should be very much low because it is recording current, it should not oppose. So these are the points of our ammeter. Once again, ammeter is an instrument used to measure current, and ammeter is always connected in series with the components, not parallel, because series symbol indicates current in ammeter and current in component must be same. And resistance of the ammeter should be very low, it should not oppose. See here, now how the galvanometer is converted to ammeter? See here, so you can see if a galvanometer is, see here I am pointing here, galvanometer connected in parallel with a low resistance, low resistance RS, then see here, if a galvanometer connected in parallel with a low resistance, this entire combination acts as a galvanometer. So the formula for the resistance connected in parallel are, yes, it is also called shunt resistance. Shunt resistance means The low resistance connected in parallel, it is called shunt resistance. What is the meaning of shunt resistance? The low resistance connected in parallel. RS formula is Ig into Rg by I minus Ig. What is Ig? It is a current through galvanometer for full scale deflection. Rg is the resistance of the galvanometer and I minus Ig. What is I? I is the for which how much range we are converting the galvanometer. I range 0 to I. I am converting galvanometer from 0 to I range. See here, sometimes I will write it as some formulas. RS can be written as Ig into G. I minus Ig. This is also one formula. Here instead of capital G I have written as small g, and instead of capital Rg I have converted capital G. What is capital G here? Galvanometer resistance. Both are same. Now after this we go for the conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. See here, the conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. Now let us quickly study about the principles of voltmeter. Voltmeter is an instrument used to measure potential difference voltage. Their current, here voltage. Now this voltmeter always connected in parallel because it should not draw any current from that. So the resistance of this voltmeter is always high. That's I told. The resistance of voltmeter is very high because it should not draw current from the component. Voltmeter is always connected in parallel because if you take any voltmeter, it should be connected in parallel. Why it should be connected in parallel to resistance? Because the whatever the potential here, the same potential should be here. Whatever the potential here, the same potential should be here, means parallel. So the principle of voltmeter is what? Voltmeter is an instrument used to measure potential difference. Voltmeter is always connected in parallel. Resistance of the voltmeter should be very high. With this knowledge, how the galvanometer is converted into voltmeter? Galvanometer is connected into voltmeter by connecting a high resistance in series. If a high resistance, here I am pointing, if a high resistance connected in series with the galvanometer, the whole combination acts as voltmeter. The whole combination acts as voltmeter. Then what is the formula for the high resistance? The formula for high resistance is R equal to V by Ig minus Rg, where V is the converted range 0 to V volt. What is Ig? Current through galvanometer for full scale deflection. Current through galvanometer for full scale deflection, and Rg is the resistance of galvanometer. You can write the formula here, R equal to V by Ig minus G. This is also one formula. Instead of Rg I am using capital G. Instead of I capital G I am using I small g. So this is the formula for resistance of resistance connected in series with the galvanometer to convert it into galvanometer converted into voltmeter. So with this synopsis, let us I'll stop this video. I'll continue the numerical problems or objective questions in the next class. Okay, thank you. Oh, good morning students, welcome back. So in this video I am going to discuss the questions of magnetic effect of moving charges and magnetism. Okay. So here the first question, I will read the question first. Which curve represents the correct variation of magnetic field B due to a long straight wire current carrying conductor? The versus distance x from the conductor means how is the variation of the magnetic field with the distance. So the following curves are given. So in the first graph you can see the magnetic field is increasing, and in the second graph the magnetic field increases first and then decreases. Third graph the magnetic field again increases non-linearly. In first one linearly increase, in third one non-linear increase, but in fourth one the magnetic field non-linearly decreases. So for this, let me write the formula of magnetic field. B equal to mu naught by 2 pi I by r, means distance. Here the magnetic field is inversely proportional to the distance. The magnetic field is inversely proportional to the distance. Hence we can say that as the distance increases, the magnetic field decreases. Means out of the four graphs, the decreasing graph is only one, that is fourth one. So the option is, correct option is 4. Once again I repeat, as the magnetic field is inversely proportional to the distance, so as distance increases, magnetic field decreases. The graph which is suitable for this is fourth one. Here the magnetic field decreases as distance increases. Okay, I think you understood the question, answer, and we go for the next question. Next question is, a wire ABCD is bent as shown in the figure. The section BC is 1/4 quarter circle of the radius. If the wire carries a current I, the value of the magnetic field at center O. So I will write the magnetic field at the center formula. BC equal to formula mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi n I by r. So pi get cancels, 2 ones are 2 2s are, means the formula is mu naught by 2 n I by r. So here the magnetic field formula at the center is mu naught by 2 n I by r. Here the center formula is used, and here the circle is quarter. If the circle is quarter, means n number of turns is taken as 90 degree divided by 360 degree. For quarter the angle is 90 degree, for full circle it is 360 degree, so means it is 1/4 of the circle. So number of turn is 1/4. So the answer is mu naught by 2 I by, if you substitute n as 1/4, it will become 1/4 into r. So it will be total mu naught by 8 I by r. So the answer is, correct answer is third one. So it is mu naught I divided by 8r, mu naught I by 8r, which is directed perpendicular plane of paper and into the plane of paper. According to right hand clasp rule, we can apply the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane and it is into. Perpendicular to the plane and it is into the plane because the current is in clockwise direction. For clockwise current, the magnetic field is into. For anti-clockwise current, the magnetic field is out of the plane. So option is third one. So next question. The strength of the magnetic field, I will read the question. Third one, the strength of the magnetic field at a point distance r near a long straight current carrying wire is B. The field at distance r by 2. What is the field at distance r by 2? Just we go for last formula. Magnetic field B equal to mu naught by 2 pi I by r. This is a formula for magnetic field due to a straight wire. If you take a straight wire carrying current, the magnetic field at a distance is mu naught by 2 pi I by r. Here magnetic field is inversely proportional to distance r. The distance is r. So if the distance is made half, the distance is made half, then the magnetic field become 2 times. The magnetic field becomes 2 times according to this formula. So it will be correct option will be 2b. If the distance becomes half, the magnetic field will be doubled according to this proportionality formula. So I can see here the magnetic field is mu naught by 2 pi I by r. Hence magnetic field is inversely proportional to distance, and it is inversely proportional to, now distance is made half, r by 2. So 2 goes up. So magnetic field is what? It is 2 times. Okay. So option is 2b. So after this we go for next question. Fourth question. A current is flowing in a circular coil of radius r and the magnetic field at the center is B naught. The magnetic field at the center is B naught. Radius is r. At what distance on the axis of the coil, on the axis of the coil from the center, the magnetic field will be B naught by 8. So now I will write the magnetic field formula. See here the magnetic field formula. B equal to B naught by 8. See here, magnetic field at a distance x is B, magnetic field at center is B naught. The relation between B and B naught is given, B equal to B naught by 8. B is what? Magnetic field at a distance x. B naught is what? Magnetic field at a distance at center of the coil. Now what is the formula for magnetic field at a distance formula? It is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi n I r square divided by r square plus x square whole raised to 3 by 2 and B naught. What is the substitute formula of B naught? Mu naught by 4 pi, that is 2 pi n I by r, center formula, and 1 by 8 is already there, 1 by 8. So mu naught by 4 pi, mu naught by 4 pi, it is 2 pi n I and 2 pi n I all cancels. What is left here? You can see it is r square here, r square divided by r square plus x square raised to 3 by 2, and it is equal to here one more remains here, 1 by 8, 1 by r. This much is left on this side. If you would make the overall calculation of x value will be, after calculating these, so due to shortage of the space here, now I am going to leave the calculations for you only, and the answer will be x equal to root 3r. So here I have taken small r, but it is capital R. So make wherever small r, make it capital R. Okay, that is a difference here. Small r, here it is written as capital R. That is a difference here. Now solve this, you get the answer as x equal to root 3r. Option is 2. Okay. After this, we go for the next question. Next question is, see next question. An infinite straight conductor carrying infinite straight current carrying conductor, it is bent into form a circle as shown in the figure. It is bent into a circle as shown in the figure. If the radius of the circle is r, the radius of the circle is what? R. The magnetic field at the center of the coil is, okay. Here, see here, we have to get the value of magnetic field at the center. See here, center. Here the magnetic field is contributed by one circle, that is circular coil, and another is straight conductor. Now we have to count the total magnetic field will be, one due to circular coil and other due to straight wire. So if you count both values, one due to circular wire and other is due to straight conductor. So what is the magnetic field due to circular coil? The answer is mu naught by 2 I by R. So this is the center formula. Just you go for the formula of center formula, B equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi n I by R. So 2 pi 2 pi get cancels 2 1 2 2 so n is 1 here, one circular coil. One circular coil means n is 1 and remaining I by R. I by R. So total formula will be mu naught by 2 pi I by R. N is 1. So then B2, what is the value of B2? Again we know that mu naught by 2 pi I by R. This is a formula for straight conductor. Magnetic field due to a straight conductor formula is what? Mu naught by 2 pi I by R. So after taking common things here, it will be, see here, take mu naught by mu naught I divided by 2R, take it as common. So make it as a, this as a capital R instead of this one small r, capital R. So if you take them, it will be what remaining here? 1 plus 1 by pi. So 1 plus 1 by pi. If you make adjustment, take pi common out. Mu naught by 2 pi r. Here I, what remains here? Pi plus 1. So option is fourth one. Fourth one is the correct option. So I can see here it is 1 plus 1 by pi. Take the LCM. Pi plus 1. Pi taken out. So it will be pi plus 1. Pi is taken out here. You can see here pi taken out. So answer is mu naught I by 2 pi r into bracket pi plus 1. This is the answer. Fourth one. Okay. Next we go for next question. Sixth one. Okay. Sixth one. What is the sixth question here? Two long thin wires ABC and EFG. Two long thin wires ABC and EFG are shown in figure. They carry currents I as shown in the figure. There are two currents. They carry currents I as shown in the figure. Means current in both sections is same. The magnetic field at O is, what is the magnetic field at O? This point here. So here the magnetic field of AB part and ED part are 0. The magnetic field of AB and EF, not ED, EF. See here, these two parts, AB and EF. Why the magnetic field due to AB and EF are 0? Because the point lies on the axis. If the point lies on the axis, the magnetic field is 0. Means which sections will contribute to magnetic field? Only BC and EFG. See here, the magnetic field is contributed by BC portion and FG portion. So the magnetic field, here now I am going to write one formula here. The formula is if a straight wire is there and the magnetic field is at one end. If you want to count the magnetic field at one end, the formula is mu naught by 4 pi, mu naught by 4 pi I by D. I by D in terms of distance. This is a formula for magnetic field at one end of the straight wire. See here, this is a wire and the magnetic field is in front of one end. The magnetic field at in front of one end. Here also end portion magnetic field is taken. So total magnetic field will be B equal to B1 plus B2. Magnetic field due to first BC and due to FG. Here due to BC is mu naught by 4 pi I by D. Current is same, distance is same. For second one also mu naught by 4 pi I by D, because current and distance are same for both. So it will be mu naught by 2 pi I by D. So correct option is mu naught by 2 pi I by D. So here options are merged. Now I am going to write the options here. Third one is 2 pi D. Here it is mu naught by 4 pi. It is 2 root 2 pi D. So out of these four options, which will be correct? Third one. So third option and fourth option, some portions are merged. Now I return the options mu naught by mu naught I divided by 2 pi d. Fourth one, mu naught I divided by 2 root pi d. Out of this, which one will be correct option? According to our solution, correct option is third one. Okay. So next question, we go for next question, seventh one. See here, two circular currents carrying coil. There are two circular current carrying coils are there. They are of different radius. They are of different radius. One is 3 centimeter, other is 6 centimeter. They are equal to magnetic dipole. What is a dipole? Which is having two ends, north and south. So here we know that any circular coil is acting like a dipole, because for any circular coil, one face is clockwise, other face is anti-clockwise. The face which is clockwise becomes south pole, and the face which is anti-clockwise becomes north pole. That's why any circular coil is having two poles, south and north, so it is considered as a dipole. Okay, with this knowledge, we go for magnetic moment of a dipole. Magnetic moment of a dipole is NIA, number of turns, current and area. So here, if you take, given that magnetic moments are same, M1 equal to M2, in the above question it is given, M1 is written as number of turns is also same, number of turns is also sorry, here we have to count, what you have to count, the currents you have to count. Here number of turns is same, so N I1, I will write area as pi r square, means pi r1 square. Second one, N I2 pi r2 square. So if you cancel N on both sides, pi on both sides, you will get I1 by I2, I1 by I2 equal to R2 square by R1 square. Here R2 is, how much it is value of R2? It is given as 6. It is given as 6 square divided by 3 square. It will be 36 by 9. It will be, answer is 4:1. So correct option is 4:1. Current ratio I1 by I2 equal to 4:1. So using magnetic moment dipole moment formula, we got this solution. Okay, next question, eighth one. So eighth question is, first I will read the question again. The magnetic field at the center of a circular coil of radius r carrying current I is B1. The magnetic field at the center of the circular coil is B1. The field at the center of another coil of radius 2r, which is 2r, carrying current, same current, is B2. Find the ratio of B1 by B2. Very simple. Magnetic field formula, center formula, it is mu naught by 2 Ni by R. It is mu naught by 2 Ni by R. Again I will write the initial formula. Sorry, okay, it's one initial formula. B equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi Ni by R. This is actual formula where we can consider pi 2 1 2 2. This reduces the formula like this. Okay, now magnetic field at the center is inversely proportional to R. Okay, I will write B1 by B2. How you write B1 by B2? If it is inversely proportional, I will write it as R2 by R1. If you will write it as R2 by R1. R2 is 2R and R1 is R. According to the given question, R2 is 2R and R1 is R. So it will be, answer will be 2:1. Option is 4. Correct option is 4. Okay, so next we go for next question, the ninth question. See a ninth question. An electron is accelerated from rest in a potential difference V. Say an electron, a charged particle which is accelerated in a potential difference V. The electron experiences some force F while moving normal to the magnetic field. It is moving normal to the magnetic field, means perpendicular. Electron is moving perpendicular to magnetic field. On increasing the potential difference to V dash, here the potential difference is increased to V dash, the force experienced by the electron in the same magnetic field will be doubled. The force becomes double. Now you have to calculate the ratio of V dash by V. You are asked to calculate what? The ratio of V dash by V. Now we have to build up a relation between V dash and V. The relation will be like this. So kinetic energy Ek is written as half mv square, and kinetic energy is also written as EV, electron volt. So from this we can understand that V equal to, so what is the formula for V? Velocity, it will be 2E capital V divided by m, and it is square root. So velocity in terms of potential difference. Okay. Now force experienced by the charged particle is QVB. Sin theta is 90 degree. Oh, so we can write small v, EVB. So now we will substitute V is written as, what is the formula for V? 2EV. This V is velocity. This V is potential difference divided by m into B. So now from this we can conclude that F is proportional to root V. So F is proportional to root V. Now I will continue in here. F1 by F2 equal to root of V by V dash. F1 is F, F2 is 2F. Now it is equal to root of V by V dash. Squaring on both sides, F cancels. Squaring on both sides, 1 by 4. It is now V by V dash. Now it is asked for V dash by V. It will be 4 by 1. So correct option is 1. So this is how we are going to calculate the relation for V dash and V here. So V dash by V equal to 4 by 1, or V dash equal to 4V. Sometimes also will be V dash equal to 4V. Okay. So here for this I have taken kinetic energy expression and kinetic energy in terms of electron volt, EV, and I have calculated small v, velocity. Big V is potential difference, small v is velocity. From expression of force, F equal to QVB, EVB. Where sin theta gone? Here QB. Where sin theta gone? Because theta is 90 degree. Theta 90 degree, sin 90 is 1. So QVB, maximum force. Okay. From this we get F proportional to V. So you have to remember, when the force and potential differences are related, the exact formula is F proportional to root of V. V means potential difference, not velocity. Okay. So go for next question. So the next question is 10th one. Two circular coils P and Q, they are made from similar wires. There are two coils, they are made from similar wires. But the radius of Q is twice that of B. Means one is big one, Q. This is Q. And another is small one. This is P. Here it is 2R. This is R. The two coils having different radius. Now, twice that. What should be the value of potential difference across them? What should be the value of potential difference across them, so that the magnetic inductions at the two centers are same? Here the magnetic field for both coils should be same. Center formula, again magnetic field for first and second one, B1 must be equal to B2. So if B1 and B2 are equal, the formula is, see here, the magnetic field for both coils are same, center formula. So answer will be mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi Ni1 by R1. It is equal to same mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi Ni2 divided by R2. So after this cancellations, we can take that I1 by R1 equal to I2 by R2. Since given that Q has 2R radius, I1 2R, I2 divided by R. So R will get cancelled. So I1 equal to what? I1 equal to what? 2I2. I1 equal to 2I2. So here this I1 R1 indicates for Q, I2 R2 indicates for I2 and R2 indicates for P. So now we can get here Vp by Vq, Vp by Vq, Vp by Vq. Vp means potential of P. VQ stands for potential of Q. Potential of P is I will write it as I2, current into resistance, and IQ indicates current into resistance of Q. Okay, now this I2 as it is, I1 is 2I2, radius, resistance is here, so important, resistance is here, in this case resistance is directly proportional to length. Resistance further directly proportional to length is directly proportional to radius. Here indicates that resistance is directly proportional to radius. Since resistance is proportional to L, resistance length is proportional to 2 pi r circumference. So resistance is directly proportional to radius. From this I can write I2 by 2I2, radius of P is R, radius, here I will write further one more step, R2, here this is R1 as it is. So it is I2 get cancels, 1 by 2, it is into here R2 means resistance of 2 means P means small r. R1 means Q coil is 2R radius. So again R cancels. So option here it will become 1 by 4. What is the LHS? Vp by Vq equal to 1 by 4. So what should be the answer? Vq equal to 4 Vp. Vq will become to 4 Vp. That is the third option. So correct option is what? Third one. Okay. So let us continue for the next questions. Next question is, a circular coil of radius, circular coil not loop, or coil or loop, both are same, circular coil or loop of radius are carrying a current I lies in xy plane. It carries a current I and it lies in xy plane with its center at origin. Means this is xy plane, the coil is here at the center. Now what is the total magnetic flux through the xy plane? The total magnetic flux through the xy plane, it is asked. So here simple knowledge is that whether the magnetic field, the total flux is proportional to I, the total flux is proportional to radius, inverse proportional to R, before, or it is 0. Before going to think here, if you take any plane, the how much flux enters, the same flux leaves. Means the total flux is 0. The total flux is 0. Any flux it enters, the same flux goes out. If you take a pipe, in a pipe, from one end how much water comes in, from the same opposite end the water comes, it goes out. Means the water in this one will be 0. Okay, the same thinking, the magnetic flux will be 0, because the magnetic flux, how much it enters the plane, the same magnetic flux goes out. Means total flux is 0. Okay. So with this, option is fourth one. And next question, Next question is, a particle of charge q and mass m moves in a circular orbit. The charge particle q moves in a circular orbit. It is of radius r with angular speed omega. Angular speed is also given. The ratio of magnitudes of magnetic moment to its angular momentum. So you have to calculate magnetic moment to angular momentum. You have to calculate magnetic moment to angular momentum. So first I write angular momentum L equal to, what is the formula for angular momentum? M r square omega. This is the formula for angular momentum. Now with this, now let us go for magnetic momentum, that is M. Magnetic momentum is I into A. I into A. But I is current, A is area. Now let us go for calculation of I. Here no I term is there, so we have to convert I. So for this we know that omega is 2 pi f, and further f can be written as omega by 2 pi. Now I will go for current. Current is written as q into f. For one circular orbit, the current produced will be q into f. Again, see here the charge is q, which is moving in a circular orbit. For one circle, how much current is produced? I equal to q into f, charge into frequency. So substitute f value here, it will be q. F value is omega by 2 pi. So I got current. Current is how much? Q omega by 2 pi. Substitute here. Now q omega by 2 pi, and one more, area of the coil is, area of the coil will be pi r square. So now I got the complete formula for M. It will be q omega r square by 2. Substituting these two, now I have to calculate ratio of magnetic moment M divided by angular momentum L. M by L. M is what? Q omega r square by 2 into L is what? Already 1 by M omega r square, or M r square omega. So here omega one term get cancels, r square one term get cancels. What remains? Q by 2m. So it indicates that the ratio of m by L depends on q and m. So dependence of m by L is q and m, means option is third one. See here, q and m, dependence of m by L, q and m. Okay, with this next we will go for the next question. Okay, next question. A proton moving with a constant velocity, it is moving with a constant velocity, passes through a region of space. It passes through a region of space without any change in its velocity. Without any change in velocity means no force acting. Here no change in velocity indicates what? No force acts on the charge, means the net force on the charge is 0. If E and B are present, the electric fields will be respectively. Sorry, if E and B represent electric and magnetic fields respectively, then this region will be have options, whether both are 0, E is 0, B is 0, or whether E is 0, B not equal to 0, whether E not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, all the above. Okay, now let us think. Here the interesting point is that the F value should be 0. Force on the charge must be 0. If the force on the charge must be 0, either electric force or magnetic force, they must be equal and opposite. These two must be equal and opposite. For F should be 0. If E and E is 0, B is 0 means no electric force, no magnetic force, no net force, so option will be 1. But go for second also. Don't decide only one is the option. Okay, one will be correct option, because no electric field, no magnetic field, no more forces, no change in velocity. Okay. Second question, if electric field is 0, magnetic field is not equal to 0, whether it is possible? Okay, it is possible. If any charge particle Q enters along the magnetic field, although magnetic field is there, the charge is moving along the magnetic field, again the magnetic force is 0. Again, this will be also correct option B. Second one. Third one, here, if E not equal to 0, B not equal to 0, whether it is possible? Yes. As I told, when electric field is there, E not equal to 0 means electric field is there. B not equal to 0 means magnetic field is also there. If both are present, electric field and magnetic field present, they must be equal and opposite. Then only the net force will be 0. Then the charge particle moves constant velocity. Means here 1 is also possible, 2 possible, third possible, means all of the above. So option is what? All of the above. Okay. We go for 14th question. 14th question is what? Yeah, oh, I will read the question. A wire extending from x equal to 0 to x equal to a carries a current I. See, means this is x-axis, this x-axis, this is y-axis. A wire extended from x equal to 0 to x equal to a. Now, the point P is located at 2a distance. Now, we are asked to calculate what is the magnetic field at point P. Since observe here, this is the conductor, and this is a point. Here the thing is that the point lies along the axis of the conductor. See here, I am pointing. The point lies along the axis of the conductor. If any point lies along the axis of the conductor, the magnetic field is 0. No formula, just direct knowledge. If any point lies along the conductor, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಲೈನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟು, ಅವಾಗ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟಿಕ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 0 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೋ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ 4. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್, 15th question. Okay, 15th question. Now see here, a wire loop is formed by joining two semicircular sections of radii r1 and r2 and center O. See a diagram. One is R1 radius, another is R2 radius. Okay. You are asked to calculate what is the net magnetic field at the center. Again, center formula is used. For this, there are two semicircular coils. For any semicircular coil, inner coil or outer coil. See, if you look at the inner coil, the current is clockwise. If the current is clockwise, the magnetic field is out. The magnetic field is outward. If for outer coil, the magnetic field is anti-clockwise. For anti-clockwise current, the magnetic field is inward. Means both magnetic fields, due to inner and outer coil, the magnetic fields, one is outward and another is inward. For which one is outward? Inner coil, means R1 radius. For which coil the magnetic field is outward? That is for inward. For that is the R2 radius coil. So I will write first B1, magnetic field due to inner coil. So magnetic field formula is mu naught by 2 Ni by R. The formula mu naught by 2 N. N is what? It is semicircular, means 1 by 2, half coil. I divided by radius is what? R1, inner coil. Inner coil radius is R1. Okay, this will be equal to mu naught by 4 I by R1. Now, according to right hand clasp rule, if you count right hand clasp rule, the magnetic field will be what? Outward. Okay, B1. Second one, magnetic field due to outer coil, B2 equal to, same formula, mu naught by 2 N I by R, so mu naught by 2, N will be again semicircle 1 by 2, I by, current is same but radius is R2. So it will be mu naught by 4 I divided by R2. It is inward. It is inward. Sorry, confusion. So it is inward. Sorry, this will be inward. This will be outward. This will be outward. Yeah. This is outward. B2. B2 is outward. B2 is outward and B1 is inward according to right hand class rule. If you go for theory part, right hand class rule, any current in clockwise, one is clockwise, the magnetic field is inward. For anti-clockwise, it is outward. Inward is for clockwise, outward is for anti-clockwise current. Okay. So with this, the net magnetic field at the center will be B equal to the net magnetic field will be equal to B1 minus B2. Why B1 minus B2? Because they are opposite. One is inward and other is outward. B1 minus B2. Why B1 is minus B2, not B2 minus B1? Because B1 is greater, because B1 has a less radius. Which is having less radius? That is having more magnetic field. So that's why B1 minus B2. If you do the calculation, I am not having sufficient space. If you do the calculation, substitute the values, you will get the answer as the first one. Answer is first one, mu naught I by 4, 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Okay. So once again I will recorrect one. See here, since B1 means inner coil. Inner coil means inner coil is having current in clockwise. See here, it is clockwise. Clockwise current is magnetic field is inward. Second, outer coil B2 it is. See here, B2 it is anti-clockwise current. See arrow mark anti-clockwise. It is means outward magnetic field. Okay. So net magnetic field is B1 minus B2. Why minus? Because they are opposite. B1 and B2 are opposite. Okay. B1 is greater, B2 is smaller. That's why it is B1 minus B2. Substitute and get the calculation. So it will be first option. Okay. Next question. Next question is 16th question. Two concentric coils carry the same current in opposite direction. Two circular coils or concentric coils. Concentric means having common center. Having common center. It is not run properly. Okay, see, two concentric coils carry the same current in opposite direction. They are carrying currents in opposite directions. Now, the diameter of inner coil is half of that of the outer coil. Means radius of inner coil is half of outer coil. If the magnetic field produced by the outer at this common center is 1 Tesla, the net magnetic field at the center is. Here, we know that magnetic field is inversely proportional to radius. For inner coil, it is the magnetic field produced by inner coil B1 is 1 by R1. Proportional, not equal, proportional. Magnetic field for second coil, means outer coil is 1 by R2. See here, B1 is magnetic field for inner coil, B2 is magnetic field produced by outer coil. So it is already given it is 1 Tesla. 1 Tesla it is given in the question. Now I will calculate B1 by B2. B1 by B2 will be what? R2 by R1. Here R2 is already, R2 means double R1. It is given. Okay, R1 cancels, it will be 2. That indicates B1 is 2B2. B1 is 2B2. B2 is already, we know, 2 into 1 means 2 Tesla. So I got B1. B1 is how much? 2 Tesla. It is T, not pi. It is T. Okay. B1 is 2 Tesla. B2 is already 1 Tesla. Now I got the B1 inner coil magnetic field and B2 outer coil magnetic field. Now I want net magnetic field. The net magnetic field is B1 minus B2. So again the question arises, why you have taken minus? Because both are opposite. B1 and B2 are opposite. Why they are opposite? Because the circular coils, the two circular coils carry currents in opposite direction. If the circular coil carry currents in opposite direction, the magnetic fields will be opposite. So in this way, if you substitute 2 Tesla minus 1 Tesla, total magnetic field is also 1 Tesla. So option is what? Second one. The magnetic field at the center is 1 Tesla. Okay, go for the next question. Next question is, so A and B are two concentric circular conductors. The A and B are what? Two concentric circular conductors of center O, common center O, carry currents I1 and I2 as shown in the figure. Ratio of the radii is 1:2. The ratio of radii is what? 1:2. And the ratio of magnetic flux densities at A and B, they are also given. A and B magnetic flux density is 1:4. You are asked to calculate I1 by I2. So same very straight formula, B1 by B2. Magnetic field is proportional to, see here, the magnetic field is proportional to N, current and radius. Let's say first here B proportional to N I by R. The magnetic field is proportional to what? Number of turns, I, current, R, radius. So here B1 by B2, I will write B1 by B2. B1 by B2 is, see here N is constant. Here there are no different terms for two circular coils. They are conductors. Conductors means N is absent. I will erase N because N is 1. Conductors means only one term. Conductor means only one term. So B1 by B2 is equal to, I will write according to this relation, I will write I1 by I2 and into, it will be R2 by R1, reciprocal. So B1 by B2 is how much? 1 by 4 it is given, 1 by 4. B1 by 2 is 1 by 4. I1 by I2 I have to calculate into radius R2 by R1. R1 by R2 is 1:2. R2 by R1 is 2:1. So total answer is I1 by I2 equal to 1 by 8. So option is first one. Okay. So we go for the next question. Next question is, okay, next question is a tangent galvanometer. Tangent galvanometer means it is a one type of galvanometer which works on tangent law. Tangent law is I equal to K tan theta. This is tangent law. Okay, now here tangent galvanometer, it is having a reduction factor. K means reduction factor 1 ampere. It is placed in a plane of its coil perpendicular to magnetic meridian. When a current of 1 ampere passes through it, the deflection produced is, see here, any coil which is kept in magnetic meridian, when a current passes, the needle will be along the magnetic meridian. The needle will be along the magnetic meridian. Magnetic meridian and the needle points in same direction. If they are in same direction, the angle between them is 0. The angle made by the deflection is what? 0. Means if any tangent galvanometer, if it is placed perpendicular to magnetic meridian, the magnetic field and needle will be in same direction. So the angle described will be 0. No deflection. Okay. Option fourth one is correct option. So next question, 19th question. 19th question, a current of 2 ampere produces a deflection of 30 degree in a tangent galvanometer. Again tangent galvanometer question, and I told the tangent galvanometer formula is I equal to K tan theta. Remember this one, K is reduction factor. Okay, now a deflection of 60 degrees produced in one coil and another coil is 30 degree. 30 degree deflection 2 ampere. 60 degree deflection, how much current? Simple, I1 by I2 equal to tan theta 1 by tan theta 2. You can ask, well, k gone. K get cancels because it is a constant. K get cancels. Now I1 is 2 ampere. I don't know I2. Okay, I1 is 2 ampere. Tan 30 degree for 2 ampere, 30 degree, and this is 60 degree. If you do the calculations, it will be root 3 by 1. It will be 1 by root 3. 1 by root 3. If you do this one, it will become 3. 2 by I1. So totally, sorry, it will be 1 by 3. Sorry, it will be 1 by 3. So here I1 by I2, it is tan 30. Sorry, it is 1 by root 3. It is root 3 by 1. Make it root 3 by 1. Okay, tan 30 is 1 by root 3. Tan 30 is 1 by root 3. And tan 60 is root 3 by 1. Okay, by doing this calculation, you will get answer as 1 by 3. 1 by 3. You will get a 1 by 3. So after this, you get I1 equal, sorry, I2 equal to, it will be 6 ampere. Okay. You are very much strong in mathematics as per the functions, trigonometric functions are concerned. So very simple, straightforward calculation. You do this one, you will get I1, I2 as 6 ampere. Okay. Okay. Next question. Okay. Next question is a very long straight wire. A very long straight wire carries a current carries a current I at the instant when the charge plus q at point P has velocity v, as shown in the figure. The force on the charge is here. The charge kept at P point, the charge plus q, not small q, plus q. It is kept at P point. It moves along the x-axis. See, it is moving along x-axis. The magnetic field will be, here, the current is upward in the conductor. The current is upward in the magnetic field. So the magnetic field will be inward. The magnetic field will be inward. See here, the magnetic field will be inward. When you take the inward magnetic field, according to Fleming's left hand rule, you have to go for Fleming's left hand rule. After taking the Fleming's left hand rule, the forefinger gives magnetic field, the middle finger gives direction of velocity, the thumb gives the arrow mark, thumb gives the net force acting. The force will be in along y-axis. So I am not having sufficient pictures here. You can go for Fleming's left hand rule. Apply the Fleming's left hand rule. Q charge is moving along x-axis. Now the magnetic field will be inward. The magnetic field will be inward into the plane upward. The thumb will be upward. The thumb will be upward means y-axis. So option is what? Along OY. Along OY. Okay. So the net force acts along OY. So I will continue. So with this, I will continue in the next class. Thank you.